This is Season 2, Episode 9 of my modular journey, and today we're going to be talking about the Afterlater Audio Popple. Popple is a dual-channel stereo filter, which means it has this left and right in, and then it has stereo outs for bandpass, low-pass 2-pole, and low-pass 4-pole. It has two FM/CV points here to modulate these offsets. It has a resonance knob here that controls resonance for both channels and a cutoff knob for both channels as well. But you can use these CV points or these attenuators here to offset cutoff for left or right individually, which is exactly why I picked this up. So let's talk about that. Why did I pick it up? Mostly for its price. It was about $199 US. I picked it up around January 18th, 2022. And I wanted to explore filtering more in the rack this year because all I've had so far has been a Belgrade and some chainsaws. So this year I decided I'm going to try some filters. So filters that are coming up are like Popple, for instance, Zagrazeb by Chaos Devices, and Filter 8 by Jura Analog. How I plan to use it clearly is as a stereo filter for any of my oscillators in the rack. The initial target was the second chainsaw, so I could use both cinnamons for another chainsaw as a stereo option. And originally I thought that the two cinnamons were still better than this one stereo Popple, but that was before I just started discovering some pretty cool modulation and self-patching techniques you can do with Popple. On top of that, Popple actually turned out to be a pretty cool filter just for basic filtering, and it takes up less room. It's only 8 HP, so that's kind of neat. Let's get Popple into the rack and fire it up. All right, here comes the boom. Hold, please. Let me load my data settings for this demo. All right. So for a quick rundown of my current voices that I have built in Eurorack, which is over in the bigger rack. I actually can't demo in the big rack because it's literally too big. So I'm doing all my journey episodes here in the Behringer rack again because it's just more comfortable. But over there I have certain signal flows like plates to Belgrade, to a VCA to disting, mixer, and then monsoon. Most things go through monsoon for that last bit of reverb or granular stuff, and then out. Another one is ensemble. I don't usually put ensemble through a filter, and then Talon, ensemble through Talon, VCA, and then Quadigy as an envelope generator, and then a 2 HP reverb, sometimes with that. The two chainsaws, I have one chainsaw I plan to put through either Popple or Zagrazeb or something new. The other chainsaw will go into the two cinnamons and then through a VCA. Usually envelopes. I'm using a lot of envelopes in the Peaked app here because I'm finding it's easier to use than Quadigy, which doesn't always seem to behave the way I want it to. It's only because I haven't learned it that well yet. Rings usually goes straight to DSP and out. And then of course the System 100 is just its own voice, so it has all of that signal flow built right into it. Some voices that are coming here is the Quad VCO. I have Castor and Pollux, and then the Spherical Wavetable Navigator. These are all reasons why this took so long to get these episodes started up again, is because a lot of things came in and I just wanted to spend a lot of time with each module and get to learn them. But what I'm going to do first is, as you see here, I've got data all figured out with signals in and out and all that. So we're going to first take the signal out of the VCO. I'm going to take a triangle out of the first two. And then you can see that here on the data traces. This is channel 1 and 2 of data. And then out of here we'll go to Popple, left and right, down here. And then left and right out of Popple, I will take the low pass 2 to start with. And then I'll take these over to my VCA. So first I want to show off a little bit of just a filter sweep, so I'm going to crank up the resonance a little bit and then listen to the filter. This is the knob that controls both left and right at the same time. Let me give that a little volume, try it again. That sounds pretty good. So if we stick this in the middle, for instance, and then start turning the right knob, If you're listening in stereo, you should hear the right ear cutoff rising and falling only. Now the left. So that right there is the main reason why I purchased Popple, is because it was different in that respect. Let me take an LFO. Let me use a slow-moving LFO on the left. And let me crank up the attenuation. And now the LFO is going to be moving the left channel slowly. And now for just a moment, let me take the right channel. I'm going to use another sine LFO into the right channel, modulating differently. I'm going to turn on the clock here. And then I'm going to offset it. I'm just turning up the offset on the LFO a little bit so I can do some low stuff. So now you can probably clearly hear the left and right doing different things. So that's really in a nutshell why I chose Popple, and part of how I plan to use it. I'm going to go a little bit deeper right now into this, but that's kind of the gist, is the fact that it has this left and right and these offsets and the way you can modulate it. That's kind of the whole idea behind it. So I don't think I have to do a big audio demo of this module because there's a lot of them already out there. Specifically, the DivKid one is pretty thorough, so I'll link that down below, and you can just go look at his video to see how all the different sounds and things this makes. So this is where things can kind of get a little interesting. Let me take a couple more LFOs out of Modbox over there, and let's start messing with the FMs. Offset them a little bit. And again, just pay attention to the left and right ears. And you can see the traces here. Another modulation option might be one LFO and one sample and hold. So right at this point, it kind of sounds like any other filter, with the exception of the left and right is a little bit offset, so it sounds pretty cool. But here's where it gets really exciting, is when you start self-patching back into these things. Let me do this one first out of low pass 4. If I just take a jumper out of low pass 4 into the left FM. Some really interesting stuff starts happening. Things just start making some pretty interesting noises. So we crank this all the way up into oscillation mode, all the way up. And just look at data going crazy. The point of all of this is just to show that this is not your grandma's filter. It's pretty simple. It's pretty affordable, but you can do a lot of things with it. And especially if you start the self-patching. So you can hear that envelope in the left ear. Raise the decay a little bit. And then once again, a slow LFO on the left side, on the right side. And I really like self-patching. I think it's really a cool concept. Start getting some really interesting sounds out of it. Anyway, that's it for episode 9 of season 2 of my modular journey, the After Later Audio Popple dual filter. Coming up next will be the After Later Audio burst generator, so stay tuned for that.